Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar. We're going to let you guys go ahead and log in. We'll wait like another minute or so. Okay. Again, welcome to our webinar. We are focusing on kind of the what next steps. I got accepted, now what? So in a few minutes, we will get started. We'll wait maybe one more minute. All right. Hello, hello. As you log in, welcome to our webinar. We are going to start in just a minute here. Okay. All right. For the sake of everyone's time, we will go ahead and get started. So again, thank you for joining us. We are focusing today on kind of the what next steps. I got accepted, now what? We invited all grades, to this webinar, parents and students. We've got a lot of seniors, getting their acceptances and notifications. So we wanted to kind of cover what are those next steps, but it's good for other grades to be in this webinar as well, to get a good idea of what to expect during that senior year. So for tonight's agenda, we're going to cover admissions decisions, all the different options and notifications that your seniors will be getting. Maybe if you're having a hard time choosing where to enroll, we're going to cover those options. We have amazing guest speakers. We do have Jonathan from Chapman University is going to cover financial aid. He's an expert in that field. And then we have Melanie from UCI is going to cover enrollment details such as orientations, housing, transportation, different things specific to your students' campuses. So just as a reminder, your Futureology team, there's one of us at each of your campuses. We are college and career counselors. You can definitely make one-on-one appointments with us. We have different things going on district-wide, like webinars such as this, workshops, college fairs, on-campus support in our college and career centers, libraries, things like that. So please let your students know that we are there to support them. And we also have bilingual support and things like that. But yeah, we can kind of cover all those questions for you at our campuses. So kind of starting off, like admission notifications, I received my admissions decision, like now what do I do? So let's get started with that. So the process, so you should be getting an email, your student. Usually it's in an email notification. It could also be just in their portal. So always have them check both. Check their personal emails that they've created to receive those emails, and then have them log into and create those portals. Those are really important. If they haven't created portals, then they won't be able to log in and get those notifications. Lots of different notifications, such as obviously admissions, but also financial aid. Um, and housing orientations, things like that that the students need to sign up for. So either your student will be admitted, waitlisted, denied. So again, even if admitted, it's important to stay on top, senior year. So it's important, don't get senioritis. Keep those grades up because again, you will be sending that college that your student will be going to your final transcript. So it's important, again, to stay on top of your grades, pass your classes, be successful. So accepting your admission, so there's a couple different steps. So choose to accept. When you finally find that college that you want to accept, it's going to usually be in the admissions portal, but again, every college is a little bit different. Just note that you will end up submitting a deposit. Okay, so that's usually money that you won't be able to get refunded. Typically, that SIR statement of intent to register is what that stands for, is going to be due by May 1st. If you are going to be declining admission, it is kind of nice if you go ahead and do that if you're sure that you want to decline admissions, just so that college is aware, so they can potentially open up spots for other students. So worst case scenario, if you're denied, it's okay. It happens. Each year, every college is looking for something really different. Sometimes, I mean, all the time we get those, students that come in, why was I denied? I had a 4.7 GPA, I had extracurriculars. Again, it could really depend on the student's major, how the particular college admits students, if they do admit by major, if they admit more to the colleges within the university, or they are looking to just be admitted directly to the university. So it's not the end of the world. There's other options. There's community college. They can transfer to those, top colleges of their choice. So again, don't panic. We're going to go through different options for you tonight.
Okay. And now we're just going to move on. Good evening, everyone. My name is Miss Luna, or Myra Luna, and I am the College and Career Counselor at San Juan Hills High School. I'm part of the Futurology team, and we just want to highlight this has been the kind of question of the week from last week at our school sites is, what if I am not admitted, or maybe I've been waitlisted? So if you have new and compelling information, that is the reason why you may want to appeal a decision, but it should not be something that has already been said before, and it should not be something that was already illustrated in your application. What they're looking for is something that was missing, and you have a compelling reason, again, to prove to them or to showcase the college, hey, you missed this important factor or this important point in my academic journey or personal life. And so I'd like to highlight that now. Please note, though, that admissions appeals are not guaranteed, and particularly for UCs, which we've heard from all the UCs by now, they do not accept an appeal process. They don't have an appeal process. I will say UCLA has a particular process, but other than that, it's not recommended that you do the appeal, especially if you were on the wait list. Then you should opt into the wait list. I know a lot of students like to get creative, and maybe they want to message their admissions representative or their local representative. And Ms. Melanie today can touch on that from UCI later on. But that's not something that is advised. Again, if you were waitlisted, opt into the wait list and then wait to hear back, right? So the appeal process can be daunting, but we always tell seniors it's really for the person that missed an opportunity in their application, something that was not already highlighted. Okay. And so again, if you're waitlisted, we want you to accept your spot. There's a lot of case-by-case scenarios. We've been working with a lot of families in these recent weeks where I have been accepted into this UC, I've been accepted to this out-of-state college, but I got waitlisted for this particular school. What should we do? And as far as UCs, we know that their waitlist you can be removed off of starting in July or August. So you won't necessarily have everything lined up just yet. So we do advise to accept an admissions offer. That way you have that kind of safety if that is where you want to go. And it's not guaranteed for admission. Again, waitlist it's very complicated and a complex process. And so if you're sure, though, that you do not want to be on the waitlist, or you've already started to plan all the steps for this other university, then please notify the school. That way they can work off their waitlist. So it's just to be courteous and to make sure that everyone has things in place as they go through the waitlist for each university. So just a couple of pieces of advice for that. And another thing about waitlisted students, you might not hear about the status until after the May 1st date, right? So particularly for the UC system and Cal States, the deadline to accept your admission is May 1st, and you do have to submit a deposit for that. So again, if May 1st is coming around and you've been accepted to this particular university, but you're waiting to hear back, then it's advised that you would take that spot if that's where you really want to go and have a plan set for it, because nothing is guaranteed, and you will lose your spot if you don't accept the admission offer by May 1st. And just a quick reminder right now, if you have any questions about what we're saying, please utilize the Q&A, and we will be working through answering those questions as we go. Now, paying for college, we know the biggest thing is tuition. That tuition price can be daunting as you and your family start to navigate the differences and try to look at the pros and cons. Something we advise is to also be looking at other costs, right? Things that are not always we're not always thinking about. So if you look at your college portals, you'll start to see financial aid award letters. They are not all out. But some universities have already sent out their award letters or award packages, which we'll cover later on. But do keep in mind that there are other considerations that we're advising students to factor in as they make that decision, because it's not just that tuition price. There's all of these other costs that come with it. Okay, and so choosing where to enroll, you have accepted, you've worked through that already. What happens next? And so one of the things that we want students to think about is what is happening at that university, right? What things are kind of drawing your attention and things that are being highlighted for that university. So we encourage students to attend the campus tours, open houses, all of those things will be coming up, any college fairs, and then really being able to visit the campus is the ideal format. I know for Capo Unified, we have our spring break next week, and so a lot of seniors are making a list and trying to road trip things, and that's a great way to do it. But if you're not able to visit your campus, maybe it's all the way up north, virtual college events also happen. You can go through their website and see, or data life videos are also becoming very popular. Just know, right, that's one person's perspective about that university. So important that if possible, you attend an event or just get insight into the campus community and what campus life is like as you commit to one particular school. And so the deadline to accept, again, May 1st, particularly for UCs and Cal States for fall of 2026. This is not the same date for other universities, so just make sure that you check for any private out-of-state schools what their deadline is. That way there aren't any surprises. And I also want to highlight in your college portal, as you start making those accounts, you will be able to see if you have any documents that you need to provide, proof of this, proof of that, transcript requests, things like that. So May 1st, very, very important for Cal States and UCs. And now we're going to hand it over to Ms. Jonathan from Chapman University to go over the financial aid award letter, because, and it can be called different things. Financial aid package, financial aid award letter really is how much did the university provide, either through a specific university grant, but there's also, if you filled out the FAFSA or the California Dream Act, right? What's a Pell Grant, California grant, any scholarship. So all of that we will cover with Chapman.
Thank you, Luna. So before we go into the financial aid offer, Luna mentioned the cost of attending a college or university. So we do have direct costs and indirect costs, and the main differences are the direct costs are educational costs that are directly billed through the university or college. These are things like tuition and mandatory fees. And indirect costs are those educational expenses that are not directly billed by the institution, such as books and supplies. But all of these, both costs are factored into what's called the cost of attendance. So each institution has their own cost of attendance that is submitted to the Department of Education. So you can see through that the tuition, student fees, housing, food, meal plan. These would be direct cost. Things like books and supplies, transportation, personal expenses are indirect cost. You can see Chatham University's cost of attendance for the 25-26 academic year, which is a total of $91,182. Now, Luna mentioned the sticker shock or the price shock. This is just the cost of attendance excluding financial aid. So now let's talk about financial aid. So financial aid is used in order to chip away at that cost of attendance, right? So we have two types of aid that would be all presented in your financial aid offer, and it's gift aid, which is, in other words, free money, and self-help aid. And those are in form of loans and work study. So gift aid is grants and scholarships. So grants can come either from the federal government, such as a Pell Grant, or the state of California, such as the Cal Grant A, B, and C. There's a Cal Grant and different letters attached to it, depending on the family's income bracket. And there's also institutional grants. So colleges and universities often have their own grants. Now, grants are directly based on the financial need of the student, which means that it's directly derived from the results of either the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, or the CADA, the California Dream Act application, which is also always important that you apply for that, and you complete your application each year when you're attending college. And then you have scholarships, and those scholarships can also be from the state of California. They have a middle class scholarship applicable to CSUs, UCs, and California community colleges, and external entities such as, like you have the Bill Gates Scholarship Foundation or McDonald's or Walmart Scholarship, right? And also institutional scholarships. Institutional scholarships can be based on merit, which means your academic performance, or based on any or talent or departmental scholarships. So based on, for example, if you're going into dance, you get a dance scholarship, or filmmaking, things like that. So that's all free money. You don't have to return that. And then we go into self-help aid. So with what self-help aid is not free money, basically. So self-help aid are loans. These are all federal loans. So the subsidized and unsubsidized loans are student federal loans. They're for the student. And you don't have to apply for those loans, but you need to fill out two forms for that, but they're automatically granted to the student. And then we have the Parent Plus loan, and that is for the parent to take on behalf of the student. That loan is for the parent. Again, it would be the parent's loan and it wouldn't be the student's loan. So those are the major differences between those loans. All three of those loans are federal loans. And so loans meaning that you will have to pay that back and there is interest involved in that. And then you have federal work study. And why is it federal work study self-help aid? It's not a loan, however, it's money allocated to the student in partnership with the federal government and the institution that the student can earn through working an on-campus job or a job that is associated with a college or university. And so again, this is self-help aid because students can choose not to take out loans or not to work, but there are options for students to help themselves pay for that cost of attendance. Next slide. So here's an example of a financial aid package that you would receive. So this is an example of Chatham University's 2025-2026 financial aid offer. And it breaks it down, and it should break it down for you for every institution and university. in the US. So you have in the first column, there are scholarships and grants, which is again your gift aid, your free money. So you can see in the first two um, rows, you have your Dean Scholarship, which is a merit scholarship for $22,000 an academic year. Your Thurgood Marshall Scholarship, which is a need-based merit and first-generation status scholarship for $7,000. So that is for first-generation students who have financial need and who have a merit scholarship as well. A lot of institutions, as I mentioned to you, have their own scholarships based on certain criteria. First-generation status is a common one. The other four are grants. And again, as we went over, grants are directly based on the financial need of the student, which is, again, directly derived from either the FAFSA or the CADA. So the first two grants are institutional grants from Chapman University. So at Chapman University, we have an on-campus housing grant for $3,000 for the academic year and a regular Chapman grant for $18,500. The Cal Grant A is a grant from the state, and then the federal Pell Grant is a grant from the federal government. And so in total, you can see the grant and scholarships, which is again free money that Chapman is awarding or that the institution is awarding a student, is $60,598 for the academic year. And then you get to see the loans, right? The loans and the federal work study. Those, again, are not free money. It's not gift aid. These are self-help aid. And you can see that the total amounts for the loans are different. The subsidized and unsubsidized loans total amounts are different because it depends on your enrollment standing, whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior in college or university. And it also has an origination fee. What that means, you see that fee portion there, the 1.057%, that means that the federal government is just taking a small little chunk out of that total amount. It's a fee that's taken out in the beginning. And so just so you are all aware of, you may be offered $3,500 of subsidized loan or $2,000 of an unsubsidized direct loan, but your actual disbursement, what you're actually going to get, what's going to go to your balance, is that minus the fee. So after fee, you can see $3,464 for the subsidized and $1,980 for the unsubsidized loan. The Parent Plus direct loan also has an origination fee, but because it's for the parent, it's a lot higher. It's at a 4.228% for this academic year. Now, all of these loans are federal loans, as mentioned before, but they also have interest rates attached to them. The interest rates for the subsidized and unsubsidized direct loan would be the same, and the Parent Plus direct loan will always be higher than the student federal loan. So it will be always higher than the subsidized and unsubsidized direct loan. The main difference is that the subsidized direct loan is a need-based financial aid offer, which means that the interest rate for the subsidized loan is subsidized, in other words, fully covered by the Department of Education, as long as a student is enrolled at least half time at a college or university, and so the interest will never start. The other two, interest will start as soon as the loan is disbursed. And then you can see the federal work study there. Slide. Now, gift aid or free money. So scholarships and grants. These are all funds you do not have to pay back once you graduate. Again, we dove deep into it. If you can click, I think one more slide. Yeah, so you have, again, the institutional scholarships on the top two, and then one more. The institutional grants, the bottom two. Then you have the state grant, and then you have the federal grant there. And then one more. So you can see in this example, the student is getting $60,598 of free money. Next slide. So federal loans, again, these are loans that are not free money. And the major difference, as explained before, is that both loans for the subsidized and unsubsidized are student loans, and the plus loan is for the parent. Slide. Federal work study, as I mentioned before, is money set aside by earning by working on campus. This it's kind of like a regular job, like a job at your local coffee shop, and we're not external from your institution. However, like in form of that, you will get your money directly to the student. It's not going to go directly to your tuition balance. It's not going to go towards your mandatory fees. It's going to go directly to the student, and the student will decide how to use those funds. Just like any other regular job, you get the paycheck and you decide what to do with the paycheck. The federal work study is not taxed, so you would get the full amount that you earn. And and it is also not included as pending financial aid. Why? Because you have to earn it through working an on-campus job. It's not automatically guaranteed. Now, most of your institutions will have an employment website for job listings. Like any other job, you will look at that list, you will apply, you will submit your resume, you'll do an interview, and then if your hiring manager hires you, then you'll work with them for your schedule. The main difference is that because you're a federal work study student, your hiring manager understands that school always comes first. So if you procrastinated on a homework assignment or forgot to study for an exam, I'm sure none of us on here do that, but you would communicate with your hiring manager, and because school always comes first, they're okay with it. I oversee 9 student workers in my office, and they do it all the time to me, and we always approve that. Unlike a regular outside job, you'll probably be unemployed in that case, right? Next slide. So all in all, to say that you want to look at the net price, and what the net price is your direct cost minus your free money, and then that will give you your net price. And then also, if you wanted to take into consideration loans, then you subtract the loan amounts from that, and then that would give you your net price. So again, in this case, for example, you will see that if you can click one more, you can see that the direct cost is $86,332. But after those scholarships, your direct cost for the academic year is $25,734, which is a lot different than 86,000, right? And then if you take out your loans for that academic year, then it drops down further to 16,458. So we always want to remind students to really look at your financial aid offer, understand what your direct cost and indirect cost are, understand what your gift aid is, which is your free money, and then also understand the options for self-help aid, and make a family decision on how to move forward, what is feasible out of pocket to pay for those costs, and what is not, right? What are the options to choose to help yourselves reduce that price. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Melanie Kyra. I work for the UCI Office of Undergraduate Admissions and Visitor Services. Very excited to be here with you all today. We're going to talk a little bit about enrollment and the next steps after being admitted. I do really quickly, before we get started on that topic, just want to touch on what Miss Luna was talking about earlier with the UC waitlist and being admitted and denied. She actually did a fantastic job talking about it, so not much in terms of that, but I do just want to echo everything she said. And if you have any questions about it, feel free to put it in the Q&A. But Participating in the wait list, if you were waitlisted, that is the big thing. You got to participate in the wait list. And just like Miss Luna said, the UC system, we do not accept letters of continued interest, resumes, letters of recommendation. So if you are waitlisted, the only thing you can do is participate in the waitlist. So make sure to say, yes, I want to participate in the waitlist. And then all you can do is wait. But yeah, everything else she covered beautifully. So just wanted to touch on that. But let's get started. So for the UCs, as was mentioned earlier, we do have a May 1st deadline. So by May 1st, you do need to submit your statement of intent to register, or SIR. This is basically a fancy way of saying, yes, I'm committing to whichever UC you decide to commit to. So you'll want to submit that by May 1st. If you need to submit the statement of legal residence, you are welcome to do that as well by May 1st. And then within 24 hours of submitting your statement of intent to register, you will have the housing application. Now, this is specifically for UC Irvine. Other UCs will have their own housing information, but it may not be the exact housing application that UC Irvine provides. Now, I can tell you for our first housing application that will be due on May 2nd, that is only a $20 fee, and it's a very quick, it's our short little housing form. You will get a longer housing form later. We do also have a deposit. So for the UC system, it's going to be a $250 SIR fee that you will be submitting. Now, this is a chunk taken out of fall tuition, so it's not another additional fee. So if you choose to defer the SIR deposit, or depending on the income stated in your UC application, you may get that SIR deposit deferred. It will just go back into your fall tuition. So let's say you do get that SIR deposit deferred, and then let's say you get financial aid, then potentially that $250 fee will be fully covered as a part of your fall tuition. But just so you know, that deposit is a chunk taken out of your fall tuition. It's not a separate fee. There will be other documentation. So once you submit your statement of intent to register on May 1st or before, there will be other needs. This will not come from the Office of Undergraduate Admissions. So there will be things like the Student Health Center asking for you to upload your medical records into their portal. The UCI Testing Center will ask you to submit a placement testing portfolio. The SPOP, or Student Parent Orientation Program, they will have orientation enrollment windows that you will sign up for whichever SPOP session you would like over the summer. All of that stuff is going to be emailed to you once you submit your statement of intent to register. So once you submit your SIR, please, please, please keep an eye on your email, because all of that stuff is going to come to you. Now, for the entire UC system, the orientation is going to be called a different name. You know, maybe the center that does placement testing is a little bit different, but overall, all of these things are going to be needed. Whatever UC you end up SIRing to, we're going to need your medical records. We're going to need to do placement testing. We're going to have a summer orientation. So just whichever UC you end up SIRing to, make sure you keep an eye on the email, because we are going to start sending all that stuff to you. Once you've submitted your SIR, you want to make sure you just complete that summer checklist. So when I say checklist, when you log into your UCI applicant portal, you're going to see that checklist, and that's very similar to the other UC portals as well. For all UCs, your official transcript with a full graduation date and all letter grades for your senior year posted is due July 1st. By July 15th, you'll need to submit any AP or IB test scores. So just go into whatever UC you've been accepted to, double check that checklist, make sure everything is checked off with a green check mark. And if you are struggling to submit something, please follow up with the admissions office that is, whatever campus you are getting accepted into. I do want to just note that, let's say maybe you did a couple years at an out-of-state high school or an international high school, please start to get those transcripts early, especially with international high schools, because that can take a while. And sometimes those international high schools don't use parchment or any digital way to send. Now, UCI specifically, we do not accept emailed transcripts. You do have to submit either via Parchment, which is a website. We have a list of like third-party vendors, or you can mail it to us. So just keep that in mind. If you are applying to on-campus housing, by May 2nd, you do want to submit that small application that's used to secure your space. In early June, housing applicants will receive the contract. So that's going to be the much longer contract with a much higher fee associated. That's where you're going to complete your preference form as well. And then in early September, you'll get those housing assignments and the roommates as well. If you do have someone you'd like to live with, when you complete your preferences, you will be able to request a roommate as well. So for housing, and this is going to vary slightly depending on what school you get accepted to, whether it's a UC or a non-UC. But most dorms are going to come with a desk, a closet / dresser, and a twin bed. So here's a list of items you might want to bring. Personally, for the UC system, we have housing websites that will have a list. So just depending on the type of housing, if you're sharing a room, if you're sharing a room with multiple people, there's definitely things you want to look out for. So for our housing website, it's just housing.uci.edu. They're going to have virtual walkthroughs of all of the different housing styles, and they're going to have a list of everything we particularly recommend for you to bring for our campus. For transportation, you just want to make sure that you're checking what transportation is available. So all UCs are located in the state of California, and we have varied parking privileges. So in UCI, freshmen are allowed to have their cars, but it is permit-based. So when it comes to UCI specifically, if you are living on campus, we do prefer that you do not bring your car. You do have to fill out an authorization form if you are looking to bring your car. So like, let's say you have to drive back to your home because you're a caregiver for a relative, or you have an off-campus job that you need to have your car on campus, you can fill out that authorization. But we do recommend, if possible, to not bring your car your first year. We are a commuter school. So if you're living at home and driving in, you'll just purchase a permit from the UCI parking department. And then just keeping in mind that, some other UCs are very city-based, so parking is going to be tough to come by. It can be a little bit of a challenge to find those parking spaces depending on the UC that you get admitted to. So really just take a look at that. Go onto the parking website for whatever UC you're interested in attending. Now for us here at UC Irvine, we do have shuttles to John Wayne during holiday seasons. We have Uber, Lyft. People will take their e-bikes and e-scooters all around campus. We also have the Anteater Express, which is an electric bus system that goes all around campus. It's completely free. It goes from our on and off campus locations to all different campus locations. So for us, you really don't need a car to get around. But again, if you're a commuter, or you need a car for whatever reason, you absolutely can bring it. And also for us, John Wayne is about 15 minutes away, so we do have an airport really local. We also use Orange County Transportation in terms of the bus line, and for the train station, it's also just about 15 minutes in the other direction. We have that Irvine Metrolink station, so lots of different ways to get around if needed. For campus jobs, I'm a little biased because I help run our campus representative or campus tour guide program. So I am privileged to work with about 100 students every single academic year. So I really encourage you to get a job on campus. You're always welcome to apply to the UCI campus representative program. If you end up coming to UCI, we'd love to have you. But it just depends on your interest. If you enjoy giving tours, talking to people, if maybe you're a little bit more introverted and you want more of like an office job where you're doing more desk work, there's lots of different opportunities at all UCs, working at the bookstore, working in the dining center, working at the library, working in an office, or doing research. All UCs are R1 institutions, so research is a huge part of your experience at UCI. About 73% of all undergraduate students are doing research, so it's definitely a possibility to be a research assistant, and a lot of students will work multiple on-campus jobs. So maybe they'll do a part-time student government job, and they'll be a tour guide, and they're also doing research assistant jobs. So, just be open-minded. A lot of students that I work with also have an off-campus job. So maybe they work at the local coffee shop, or they work at Chipotle at the Irvine Spectrum. So there's a lot of different things you can do. So just keeping your eye out, using services like Handshake, or whatever service your campus provides, will be really helpful. As you're transitioning to UC Irvine, we do have some summer programs. Now, all UCs offer these services. They may just be titled slightly differently. So for us, our summer orientation is called SPOP, the Student Parent Orientation Program. You can find information relating to orientation if you just go to orientation.uci.edu. Right now, their website is not going to be fully fleshed out. They will have the dates for SPOP listed, but they don't have any of the enrollment window information yet, because again, that typically happens after the SIR deadline of May 1st. So a lot of the things listed here on this slide are more summer-based, so they may not have enrollment immediately. They will wait for you to submit your SIR before providing you the information. So SPOP is just one of those options. We also have our freshman summer success pathways. One of those pathways is Summer Bridge. So the freshman summer success program gives incoming students the opportunity to start their college experience early. So you can basically take classes and you can come live on campus during summer session 2. So it just allows you to build connections with peers, faculty, and staff before fall quarter begins. One of those pathways is Summer Bridge. So Summer Bridge is slightly different. It is eligible for California residency or AB 540 undocumented students, and it is geared towards first generation or income eligible status. So it's tailored for those first gen students, and it offers a personalized experience. It's basically a summer cohort where you get like comprehensive help. It does include SPOP. And you basically get an academic year long of resources. So if you participate in Summer Bridge, you do get to continue to receive that support throughout the academic year, including peer mentoring, textbook rentals, priority enrollment. So it's a really good program if you are a first gen student or someone who just needs a little bit more assistance going into college. You just may not have access to all of those resources. We also have University Studies 87. This is a class that's required for all incoming students to take. It will be an online course that is asynchronous. So you'll just acknowledge and start the class. So just keep in mind, if you do choose to SIR to UC Irvine specifically, you will be getting emails about this University Studies 87 class, and it is required to complete before the fall quarter starts. And then we also have a note here that on-campus housing move-in is mid to late September. So just make sure you are available to move into your new dorms. Just a couple more things. So placement testing, as I mentioned, this is through the testing center. Basically, when you submit your AP or IB scores, when you're completing your checklist, you should be able to opt out of placement tests depending on if you have a certain AP or IB score. We do have a chart online. If you just look up on Google UCI AP credit chart, you'll see in our catalog that we do have a section that lists every single AP class and IB exam, and it tells you if you got like this specific score on this specific exam, it will clear out these specific classes. So there are chances for you to waive some of the lower level classes or place out of like certain math or English classes. So again, you'll be receiving an email about this. You'll have like a writing portfolio you'll need to submit. So just keep that in mind. Keep an eye on your email if you end up SIRing to a UC. And then finally, just some final documents. You will need to submit your test scores through the College Board. So you will go into your College Board account. You will, there's like a way to basically send the AP and IB exams through there. Now, keep in mind, you want to do it as early as possible because then it's free. If you end up waiting too long and you have to do rush delivery, there is a fee associated with that. So just log in as soon as you can. Make sure to set up that delivery so that way it's sent to us at the appropriate time. For transcripts, each UC or whatever college you end up attending is going to have on their website how to send transcripts. So for UC Irvine specifically, we do have on our admissions website how you can send official documents to us. We have a list of third-party vendors that we work with, but I believe Capo USD uses Parchment. So you would just log into Parchment through your high school website and you would send your transcript to whichever UC. You would type out like UC Irvine, and then we would receive that transcript. So again, transcripts are due July 1st. Exam scores are due July 15th. So make sure you keep an eye on your deadlines for whatever school you attend and make sure you send all of those final documents. And then finally, for UC Irvine specifically, this QR code here, this is for our admitted student events. So if you're an admitted student, you can scan this QR code. We do have virtual presentations every single Tuesday through Thursday in the afternoon after school. So if you want to hear a little bit more from our admissions counselors, you want to learn about housing and next steps, you want to hear from current students, we have a lot of different options. Of course, I'm a little biased because I run the tour guide program, but I highly recommend coming on campus. You guys are all local, so we do have campus tours available. So you can sign up for a tour or sign up to be on the wait list of a tour, and come visit us. Come see our campus. Come take a tour from one of our students. If you're not sure which UC you want to go to, this will help you get on campus and see what life could be like as a UCI student.
Okay, thank you so much. We really appreciate your guys' help with that. There was a lot of information that we threw out at you guys. Are there any questions that we can answer for you? Go ahead and put them in the QA. Does Futurology provide assistance for out-of-state colleges? Absolutely. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and your student can either pop in, like I said, in the College and Career Center, library, or make a one-on-one appointment with us, and we can have your student, present. We can answer those questions for you if your student is attending out-of-state colleges. Absolutely. Good question. Tesoro, that's me. That's Mrs. Gatlin. So please reach out to me if you have any questions. Okay, can you please repeat deadlines for Irvine College? Did you mean like UCI or Irvine Valley College? I'm assuming you meant UCI since UCI is here. Oh, IVC. So with the community colleges, their deadlines are a little bit different. So their applications are still open. It's kind of a rolling admissions, but if your student wants to get like a priority registration, which is meaning that they're going to get the classes that they need beforehand. So they're getting into the math and the English classes that they need to. They want to do that, I believe, by May 5th in order to get priority registration. It's called Freshman Advantage over at Irvine Valley College. And they do have like a preview night coming up, I believe, April, I want to say the right after spring break. They have a preview night you can attend. And then they can go into like different deadlines and things like that. Came in late, but do you have a contact for transition questions to UC Berkeley? Yeah, if you want to email me directly, again, I'm Mrs. Gatlin over at Tesoro, or you can email Miss Luna, whichever, school your student attends. We do have access to those admissions reps.
And there's another question regarding maybe for Ms. Melanie. When are most placement tests taken? May, June, July?
Yeah, so for placement testing, typically it's done in, like May, June timeframe. So I believe the deadline last year was May 31st, if I'm remembering correctly, for the writing portfolio. So just keep that in mind that it is a little bit of a quicker turnaround for the placement testing. So that will come via email. But yeah, typically it's like early June, late May is the deadline for that.
Okay, are there any important dates for a student wanting to transfer from Saddleback to UCLA? I went to the TAP program or the honors program and would like some more information. Yeah, so for that, they wanted, there's a separate application. So they're going to have to do an application for the honors program for Irvine Valley College. And then what they want to do is meet with an Irvine Valley College counselor and let them know their plans to tap to UCLA. And then they will set them up for that 2-year program of all the classes that they need to take in order to be eligible to tap to UCLA. Okay, are placement tests taken online or in person? Melanie, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, it's going to be all online. So you
Okay.
can actually, you can look up, at least for UC Irvine, you can look up like UC Irvine placement testing or UC Irvine testing center, and you'll see everything is pretty much done online. At least for the writing portfolio, that's like submitted through a website. So yeah, everything is online.
Okay, any other final questions? We have a small group, so please use this time to ask any questions.
Yeah, and even though just want to point out, we heard from a private institution today, Chapman. We also heard from a public institution, UCI. But any questions you have regarding Cal State's private, out-of-state, or out-of-state public, those are questions we welcome as well. We just had 2 guests today who are experts in their field to really highlight. But this is just like for futurology counselors, any support that you need. We are happy to answer those questions. And this presentation will be posted. If you were registered tonight, then it will be sent to you. But also those that, if you know somebody that didn't, then it will be posted on the YouTube channel that we post all our past webinars. Somebody asked a question about if their student was waitlisted to UCSD, does that mean that she cannot confirm admission at any other school where she was accepted? So that's a tricky one, right? And so that's where we have to, and maybe Melanie, you can jump in here as well, where if the student, you and the student or the family has really looked at all the important factors, if they have received admission to a particular university, but they are really wanting UCSD, that's a hard place to be. And we understand, right? Because there's so many things that, if you want to plan for this particular path, you want to plan for this school. But the general advice would be if the student can see themselves at that university that they were offered admission and their deadline is May 1st, then she should, or the student should, accept that admission offer. Because if they're really relying on maybe being off the wait list for San Diego, but they miss that deadline, then they're back to not having a choice, right? Because they don't hold the spot. So say it was like UC, or one of the UCs, and they get an offer, they don't ever get off the wait list, and then come June 1st, they want to go back and accept that UC offer, it will no longer be available. Same thing for the Cal States or any other university. So that's a tricky one. So she can confirm admission if that student can really see themselves at that university and they have kind of played out all the factors that go involved with that. Anything to add to that, Melanie, or even Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there, but yes, just to like fully confirm, it it means, so it does not mean that she can't confirm admission at another school. For the UCs, we actually encourage you to accept your admission at another institution that accepted you. So you can submit your interest to participate in the wait list, and you can also submit your statement of intent to register for an additional school, even if that's within the UC system, if it's outside of the UC system. Please, please, please accept and follow the deadlines of a school that admitted you, because a wait list is simply a wait list. It does not guarantee admission. It does not mean that you are going to eventually be accepted to UCSD. So we want to make sure that you do have a school locked in and ready to go if you do not get off of the wait list. So please, please, please accept somewhere else as well.
Perfect. There was a question about requirements to get into priority registration at Saddleback. So that's going to be basically like applying to Saddleback, making sure you're completing the FAFSA or California Dream Act and adding that school to those applications. There's also different things as far as like completing the online orientation, self-guided placement. online advisement, and then meeting with a counselor to go over your first semester plan. So those are going to be those requirements for meeting that priority registration for Saddleback, IVC, or any other community college. Is the college portal mentioned the same as College Board? So no, so you're going to get emails from each of the colleges that you're either accepted to or that you applied to. So it's important that you go ahead and register those accounts and make sure that you're looking in and making sure you're checking the updates as far as like if you're accepted, like mentioned before, financial aid, all those kind of other things, registering for orientation. So it's different from College Board for sure.
Yeah, and I just wanted to highlight that you can go to the Freshman Advantage website at Saddleback or any university. And again, just because we're a smaller group, we're able to do this right now. You could look at exactly what they need to do. So there's multiple steps here. And as you see, as you apply, you complete the registration steps, and then that's how they get priority registration. And things need to be submitted by May 1st, sorry, May 5th. And so they still have a little over a month to be able to complete this specifically for Saddleback.
Okay, great questions. We really appreciate all of you guys being here. We appreciate Jonathan from Chapman, Melanie from UCI. We appreciate your time so much. If you guys have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us, your futurology counselors at each of the sites. We will help you through this process. And then like Miss Luna said, we will be sending out this presentation to you guys, and it's also going to be posted on our YouTube channel. All right. Well, everyone have a great evening. We appreciate your time.